All right. Good afternoon, lady and gentlemen. Since we don't have much on joining on the Zoom, we have the physical presence of three of you here already. I think it was supposed to be four. Okay. So we'll continue with the others when they join, they will catch up. It's actually on record and they might refer to the arrow. I will start first. My name is John Gupta, Institute of Economics of Nigeria. I have been in business like somebody raising a child. No wonder I'm being called to handle this module for you people that are waiting for the AGMEIS, AGSMEIS, Ask Me Loan. I'm sure you all know the background of this money, an initiative of the Bankers Committee to set aside a 10% of their pre-tax profits. Even while I was in the bank in about 70 years, this thing had been there. So you can imagine the quantum of money we are talking about that has been set aside. It's an initiative of the Bankers Committee to stimulate the economy by creating small-scale businesses. Everybody cannot get a job in this economy that we have now. So the Bankers Committee has come together to do this as a help to government. And I think it's a privilege, I want to say, because so many people want to get it and they have not been able. Let's pray that because of this evaluation and the training that you are getting, you will be a beneficiary of this money, this loan that we are talking about. I'm also an alumnus of this training, even though it may not be here. So I'm going to talk in practical terms, my experiences and some things that will enable you to succeed in the course of your loan application. The stage has been set. The first module was taken yesterday, and I'm sure you all enjoy it. But today is going to be a bit practical, or I would say a guide, rather. A guide. The topic is feasibility studies and business plan. Why did I say a guide? A guide in the sense that all the business that you have in mind can never be the same. And even if it's the same, the way you are going to make presentation of the business will differ from the other person. All of us cannot speak the same grammar. All right. So my presence or my presentation will sort of put a guide that will be amenable, adaptable to everyone, so that you can present your business ideas to those who are going to check it in such a way that the guide that they have presented about how you write your business plan, you will be guided and not to go outside. I'm also guided by a module. I won't bring external or digression materials, and a bit not to confuse any one of us. Prior to now, you have attempted some questions and we have seen the responses. The essence of the pretext is to know your capacity of maybe the subject is strange or not strange, and also help us to quickly maybe step of the presentation. And so far, so good. The responses we have received, for those who have sent in their pre-test answers, I've not seen anyone who has scored below average. Yes, so it gives me a confidence or a moral boost to say that I'm not speaking to, or the topic is not going to be strange to most of us. And that sounds very good. We have about 2 sections of the presentation. The first will handle the feasibility studies, and then the second part is the business plan. Quickly, I would like to differentiate them because there's one question here that says differentiate feasibility study from a business plan. Now, feasibility studies actually precedes the business plan, but the content of both studies are virtually the same. All right, but the usability of the study differs. One, the feasibility study is internal in the sense that the person who has the business idea, it helps him to do 1 or 2 things. You are not necessarily going to showcase feasibility study to an outsider, even though it's a requirement by NISA that you should do it. It's also a way of training you, because some of you may be coming in as somebody who have a business idea or business that is already going. It may not be a startup, and then you also require the money. Why not? Why the business plan is actually for external purpose. That dichotomy needs to be created so that you are guided. For us, for this, you are going through a study, you are going through a course. So the essence of you knowing what a feasibility study is important. But I'm just giving you what feasibility study is all about and who uses it, or for what purpose do you do it. Basically, the business plan, if you don't have it, you can't go anywhere to even knock on anybody's door. It is an angel investor, or even if it's a proposed investment you are seeking from anybody, you must present a document that talks about what you have as an idea, how you want to actualize it, and how it will serve posterity. It's not just to just do something and just, nobody will want to start a business or not. You've heard about Dangote. It didn't start the way he is today. It started sometimes, maybe with, I learned it started with about how many thousand loaves. Today, it's been described as the greatest African in terms of wealth or money. So I needed to do that because some of the answers I'm getting, the responses, probably that might be the area that so many people failed or made attempt that they didn't get it correctly. So you do a feasibility study for yourself mainly, because sometimes the idea that is bringing or giving you some sleepless night, I want to do this, it may not really be something you need to bother anybody about after all. Why? Because by the time you begin to consider the issues involved in the business, at the end you find out that it's not worth it to even ask for loan. Why? Because sometimes this thing looks very possible in a way, but as you put the idea or you share the idea with somebody, another question will come up that you might require another, maybe say for instance an equipment, or you might require a bigger office location. All these things, by the time you factor in what it will involve, you might not even be able to actualize it, or probably the money you are asking for is falling outside it. For instance, I'm sure this loan is between 1 million and 10 million. Okay, so if at the end of the day you bring an idea that is already 50 million, obviously you are going to knock on another aspect of maybe the loan from another source, not the AG, that's agribusiness, small, medium enterprises investment scheme that we are talking about today. So, having said that, let's go forward now. I have an outline there. And for those of us who are here physically, I will talk briefly about what I've actually started that already, feasibility study, and what is a feasible business. What is the objectives and importance, and how do we go about doing a feasibility study? And knowing how to go about it will bring us into the components, what make it up. That is the introduction, the financial, the technical, the organizational, and all of those things put together to bring up what is the feasibility study. So what is feasibility study? It's just, if I ask you from the word feasible, you can explain it. Simple and short. But when it is a paper or a document, and I say it's a document or a paper that analyzes the practicability of an idea, a business idea, how can this idea become feasible? That's what that document or what you are doing is. I was sharing a thought with somebody before who was thinking about doing a business. And I said that business would involve an importation. He said, no, that they will do fabrication. And as we began to analyze the fabrication and all that, he began to feel that maybe I have a better opinion. Because what they are going to fabricate will not really give you the kind of business that he was thinking about. So at the end of the day, we factor in what the cost of that equipment will be from China. We Google some of this information, they are all available. And then he found out that the money was something. So he had to share the idea. But at that material time, that business is not feasible because he cannot actualize it. Anything that you are thinking in the air that you cannot put on ground, it's not feasible, it's not practical, practicable rather. So when you are examining and you are presenting a paper to examine the practicability, or you have a solution to something and you want to see how would this solution be far-fetched, you are doing a feasibility study. And you know that it's not only limited to doing feasibility when you are undertaking businesses. You have heard about this word in various areas. Even if the government wants to give a contract, for instance, they do some kind of study. Things like environmental impact assessment that they do are a part of what we call feasibility. Because you say you are voting on a certain amount of money, and it's awarded on the Federal Executive Council meeting that we all see. Only for you to now go, they say, oh, the soil, whatever test you're underneath require piping and all that. And you have not factored in that and you award the contract. Obviously, that contract will stagnate. And you will have announced to the whole world they have given an award to one Bayelsa community, which is not feasible. So they do this kind of thing also in other clients, in other outside the business. But for you, we are narrowing it down that if they can do it outside, it becomes very important for you to take note of this. That is something that you must do for this idea that you are already nursing. It lets you not be that, oh, they are giving loan, everybody is going for it. It is not NISA will not be happy that after about how many years of checking, you are no longer there. It's when the business sustains itself that NISA will be proud that they have done something. So it's not just a storm in a teacup. You are coming in for something serious. And personally, I take business, like I said, like a cradle. You take somebody from the cradle to a store, let him get matured. So business development has been my life all this while, and I can talk anywhere about it. What it is, what it requires, why is it dying, why is not the life cycle, why is not, why are you here still? All this kind of thing. If you give birth to a child and the child is stunted in growth, you see how emotional the parent becomes. That's the way somebody who is into business feels also. Okay, so I will tell us why the objectives of doing the study and the importance and probably some shortcomings, why sometimes we fail to do the right thing and all of that. So I have said it's analysis of the viability of an idea that brings us some essential questions. Should we or should we not? If you find out that it's not possible, you don't bother anybody. It's a way of saving your costs, saving you from stress, saving nicer with all the loan that is being bombarded. There are a lot of loan, some batches we are doing, this is the fifth or something training we are doing. Batch. We have A and B or something. And so many other training centers. So there's a lot of work that we are giving NISA to examine everybody. So if your own is not going to breeze through, there's no reason why it should be here. I'm not using that one to dissuade anyone, but it is essential that we answer that question whether we should proceed or not. That is one of the aspects of this guide. It will bring up any potential challenges or problems that you can encounter that you will not know now. So many of you may not know. For some of you who may want to go into value chain development, maybe you are into coconut and you want to bring out the juice or you want to bring out the oil. You are planting it if you have a plantation already, or you want to invest into somebody's own plantation, you want to pay off. Give me a lease of your plantation the next 5 years. Based on what you are producing now, I can pay this. Fine. Then by the time you begin to probably harvest your coconut, you find out that the coconut is not bringing the yield, but you have already paid for it. You wouldn't have determined this factor at the time you were taking the lease. What would you do at that time? So these are some of the things that are risk that comes when you have started. Nobody is running away from risk because if you do, you will not come out. Some people say even going to bed sometime to sleep. You have heard that people die in their sleep. So risk is everywhere. But when you analyze it, it gives you the confidence to go. Because when the things show face, you are prepared an alternative or you are prepared boosters that will help you. Everybody meets or faces risks every day. It's how you overcome it that matters. So what then becomes a feasible business? The moment you have known what I said earlier on, and you have gotten some questions like value, cost, those two components is what feasibility studies bring. That is a cost and what it will attain. You have that money, you have that fund, what will it bring? It balances it. So those are the two criteria in feasibility study: cost ascertainment and value or attainment. So
no, it's not that.
A feasible business will be the one that will generate enough or sufficient cash flows. Cash flow is the money, the income, money that comes into the business, either by sales, either by when you sell your assets that you have, maybe you no longer need it. Any income, any inflow is a cash flow. That's cash inflow. But the one that goes out is cash outflow. So if your business is generating that, then we say it's a feasible business. But if it's not generating sufficient to handle some of your costs, you're buying diesel for your generator, you have sufficient enough to cover such ground, then that business is not feasible and it's not worth starting at all. And when you sit down here and you're able to think about what those cash flows will be, even in 3 years' time, that's what business plan will give you. Business plan, as I'm here to even get there, I can give you just something that will tell you what will happen. And that's the reason why NISA needs it. You are telling them what will happen. So by the time, if they grant you the loan and they visit you by this monitoring and evaluation team, mind you that when they are visiting you, they will have a copy of your small business plan that you did. And most of you, maybe when you are going to be interviewed, some of these things come practical. They will ask you some questions, and you should be able to determine maybe 3 years' time what you want to achieve. It may not be exact, but you can't state something very, very low or abysmal. let the capacity of the business be known very well so that you make a right estimate. We'll get there. So, and that the feasible business is the one that will be in a while. It will be in the business for a while. A while, in the sense that it will have paid this indebtedness. It will become liquid and be solvent at any point in time. Maybe to the point that you want to even sell it to an investor who would like to take off from where you stop. But you are not owing, you are not indebted, you are not owing your staff, you are not owing your loan. That is a feasible business. Even after the loan has been paid and it goes down, it's still feasible. It's just that something happened along the line. Business can go insolvent because of some certain things, force majeure, some issues that you cannot predict. Maybe the wisdom of the person who started it, maybe he died, and like most of the times you have so proprietor business, you have not trained your son, you have not trained somebody who will take over. Such kind of thing can happen. So nobody is so proof from entering into something. But a physical business, when you visit a place, you see it live. He's paying his bill, he's going to buy diesel, he's running his business. He's not owing workers. It's not like a state governor who decided to sit on people's pension. Let me just digress to make us understand. Meet the goals of the founders, you and maybe your total family or a friend. I visited a set of guys. They were friends for a while. They entered into a hair barbing salon. They are friends, and the good thing about it is that one of them is a good barber. He teamed up with his friend, and anytime I go there, I see changes. That's friendship. Now, if any one of them, maybe something happened, because the business is being shared, it can run. That kind of thing, maybe partnership and all that. It can sustain, it can be there for a long while. It will be meeting the ideas and the goals why it was formed, why it was established. That's a feasible business. So when you have something like that, you can beat your chest. So you can be taking note in case some things down, you can just something else. Anybody with a business idea should conduct a feasibility study. Any business idea must have it. You must do a feasibility study so that before you decide to start anything, you must have that. Put it somewhere. It's for your use, but it's required that you do it. Feasibility study, like I said before, will address things. Where are we going to be? Where are we starting the business? That's location of business. For you who study the economics in your old level, you know that one of the high requirements of business this thing is location, proximity to the market. You don't want to be in a place that before you take your products to the distance, you have spent so much profit. You have spent so much money defraying whatever you are going to get. It will give you the details about the business, how it will succeed. I'm giving you by and large some of the beautiful things about feasibility studies. Feasibility study will serve as a tool for developing a winning business plan. Now, I mentioned it that when I was trying to differentiate between the two, it will give you the impetus, the foundation, how you can do that business plan, which is what NISA will ask you to do as part of this training, or for you to get a loan. All right? It can be used in other ways, as I mentioned earlier on, that even government can use it. But for you, let me not digress so much. It's just for you to focus on the business venture that you want to start. What are the objectives? What are the objectives of a feasibility study? To raise funding, like you are doing right now. It's a requirement. It becomes mandatory for you that you should do this for you to be able to be considered for the NISA loan. So for you now, it's mandatory. The second point here says it's a requirement to grant loan or for awarding bodies to give you any money. They will want you to do a feasibility study. Any person that, apart from, there was one time government did a grant, they call you WIN, All these things are things that you would have done for those who went there. It also will satisfy the directors that the project is viable. It's not only you, because it's that document that they will now fall back on, that they will be convinced that yes, a feasibility study was done to all of the directors' acceptance. It will determine the optimum mix. Optimum mix here means optimum facility mix. What are the nexus of everything that is required that will come together? One thing lead to another. So the study will bring everything to play. The team coming together, every of the parts coming together, reacting harmoniously. If anyone is not agreeing, you will know from here. That's why I use that word mix. And at the end, what will you get? It will maximize your revenue. I mentioned earlier on that if your location is a disadvantaged position, the feasibility study will tell you that where you have located, why can't you come closer? By you coming closer to the market, what have you done? You have reduced your costs of moving your goods. Yes, you have, if at all at the end of the day you come to the market and you make 1,000 naira profit, if you had located earlier and closer and the differential of that transport has given you 400 naira out of that cost, you see how over time what that means. Listen, when you have a markup of 10 naira on a produce, a 10 naira, you think it is small. It is not small when you make tons, when you make turnovers. But so you don't neglect or don't underestimate what that business can become by you raising up your profits profile. Anything that will cut or erode into what will come out, by you cutting it short, you are raising yourself. And by that, you see, the thing I'm saying, you will not value it until after about how many years? Go and ask the bank that charges you on something when you go and do what do you call it? Is this SMS or what? The charges are too small. I have had a course by privilege to examine what we call stamp duty. I did one consultancy work with the National Assembly. And I tell you, I'm amazed as to how much money comes. But when they debit you, you don't feel it. That's the same principle that a businessman must have. That if you are saving 10 naira in a business, don't trivialize it. So it will give us the ground that all parties will agree and go ahead to form the base of initial market planning and project planning. Everything falls on this. It's foundational, it's fundamental. And like I said before, it's an argument or it provides the basis or an argument why the business should not even start. That's very, very important. You don't have to bother yourself. You don't have to go and take a loan that why in the midway you have not even done anything. Everything is going down. It's going down. And you know that our BVN is the only thing now. This loan you are taking has no collateral. But the BVN is enough. That's what I tell my students. The BVN is enough. Your personal guarantee is enough to be carried and placed behind. Okay, we don't know what you are saying. Please stay here for a moment. If they are not shooting you, they may handcuff you from outside, but when you enter their place, they say, stay here. The moment you stay there for 24 hours, nobody visits you. Nobody sends, you don't even have phone. We are all used to phones now. You take phone from somebody's day now, it's like something else. And you are there. If you can't explain, I took 4 million, no, yes. I did this, oh, yes. That's all you can. You can't even put your statement together again. It's really, really not good. So it's enough for us to say, look, when I pay back this loan, other people have access to it. That's what the NASA will tell you. That's the reason we are coming. So we have a personal guarantee to the loan. We don't want to bug you with go and bring a land that doesn't have collateral, doesn't have title. You have some guarantors, yes, maybe your father or your brother who has, yes, they can come in, but you are the first person that they will first of all come to pick. I just want to put that one behind us. So if it's not worth starting, let's not start. At the end, the result will be revenue, cost here, revenue here. All of them linked together. And then the forecast also will show. These things will translate when I mention the business plan proper. And from the statements, we'll be able to have what we call balance sheet. Don't be frightened about those words. There are little things that we can explain. And I'm sure some other training that you have before the end of the week will maybe explain it better. But balance sheet is just to tell you the statement of assets and liability. There's what we call the accounting equation, that when you have the asset, it is equal to liability plus shareholders fund. Simple. That's how they draw the balance sheet table. Asset is there, liability is there, you see shareholders fund somewhere there. Everything balanced. Asset must equal to this. The upper side must equal. So when you come, it crosses, it becomes zero. So you balance yourself all the time. Now, I want to quickly mention some shortcomings of the study, why sometimes we run into problems. Sometimes we make overestimation of some of those things, like the market. You are not there yet, you say you are there. You are making Zobo to compete with Coke. And then you begin to overestimate, somebody will no longer like Coke. Are you sure? Because of Zobo? You tell that one to me, I will say no. Probably because, and I even see sometimes that Zobo is not even cheap. There's a woman that makes it to us in the church. And then I went pricing and said, this one is 100 naira. And I asked, how much is Coke? He said, but I put ginger. Is ginger in Coke? Let's not go into all those details. I know that we have tastes, we have preferences, which is one of the factors of demand. For you, you know, somebody might actually prefer that. Maybe they say his age is about 90 or 70. Like some of us who are adult now, we are not supposed to take Coke. But because the ginger also, they put sugar. They say, no, I don't put sugar. They put sweetener. I didn't put sweetener. I put ginger. There are so many things that they say. So we overestimate sometimes, making us to run into problems. And sometimes we underestimate competition, like I mentioned that of Coke. When you see Coke and you see that, sometimes people say, let me pick the Coke, I'm sure of the source than this one. I took Zobo the other day, somebody say, and I have running stomach. So sometimes when they see those two things that have what we call either that supplementary or they are alternate, or somebody might prefer one or the other. You have to be very careful about how you underestimate your market. Plant capacity is not compatible with market size. It's one shortcoming of the study. What has happened? You have not done some certain research very well to have known the capacity, even maybe what's the equipment that you are bringing. I did yours truly. I told you that I'm also an alumnus of this training, and then I'm doing a rice value chain, just practical. And then I said I'm citing the industry or the business at Otuko, where I know I have so much about the business. And then how much of the capacity of that equipment. I have to do a study with the person I discussed with Atenubu, who does this fabrication of the parts. And I have to do all that, and then I have to know the number of people that will be carrying my, when you are milling, somebody maybe, if I have to use about how many hours, will I be able to keep one person there for that number of hours? Am I going to have about two of them? Somebody goes home at a time, and that one takes over. All these things are the capacities and the studies I'm making. So at the end of the day, what I'm bringing out will be available for the market. I would have said the market, but I'm not bringing it there. So somebody will come and say you don't have the goal. Tomorrow you lose that customer. These are issues. Then also Underestimating the importance of management and manpower. I mentioned whether I need about how many. It's important. Otherwise, you are the one that will represent that person. And then when you do that for so long, you become lethargy and time. You can't cope. You break down. Nobody will be there tomorrow. All these issues. The market projection was not based on some sufficient data. You make assumptions, really. You have to hold some assumption when you are making this. But if you are not very sure of the data, and the data is not good enough, then definitely your projection will be wrong. And then when you overestimate the availability of infrastructure and other appendages, if, for instance, a part of your process, you are doing a value stuff, breaks down, and you can't find that part, you go to Onitsha, they say go to somewhere else. Go to this, go to that. A lot of time would have been wasted. You can't do anything. Downtime will creep in, and then that result to other issues. So if you don't do all these things, you are going to have a study that is short of requirement, not meeting requirement. So you need to do a lot of investigation. You need to look at a lot of Google. You have study the available facts in the National Bureau of Statistics. It's not quite far in the central business. You can go there, knock any day, they'll give you any information you want. They have them, they will tell you the inflation now. They can even predict what will happen. So these are facts that you need. And then quickly, the importance, I have overstated the importance, but I will still, they say it lists in details of the things you need to make the business to work. It will identify logistical and other related issues, challenges, and problems, thereby giving you solutions. And it will make you to develop the market strategies. You know, when you have the idea, when you have done the distance, there's the way you go about doing selling are the strategies that you are putting on ground. I need to be here. I need to make up this. I need to reach out this. All those things that you use to take those things there to actualize what you have are the strategies. It will also serve as the foundation for you doing your business plan, which is where we are going. But quickly, before we get there, before you write, you might need a consultant, like I'm talking to you right now, or you are this office, this EDI, you can always have assistance as to how you can go about it. And then any question you really have, you can also ask from this office. But then giving you an assessment of your competition, how much money that you need, that now will even be why maybe at the end of this, you might even change your amount after you have done this. If you had an idea of 2 million before, at the end, you might now maybe change it because you have done some study, you have been trained, you are going to flag your certificate as a bona fide a person who has been trained. If they don't see that training certificate, you are not even qualified. For NISA to set up training centers, accredited training centers, you know what it means. So if you need any of this, like I say, pre-feasibility study require you hiring or asking a consultant to guide you to know how to ask you some certain things so that you are not frightened about the business. So at the end, I come up with the components, which I've already said, but I'll mention it briefly. The components of the feasibility study is to describe your business. That's part one. It can be called introduction. That's telling you, I'm into this, and this is what I want to do. This is how I want to achieve it. That kind of thing. Then you talk about the market. If it's the Zobo I talked about or the rice, I can tell you now that rice, okay, we have a foreign rice, we have the Nigerian rice. But so many of us have known the impact of the local rice now. So it is, if you put it and you present it very well and it doesn't have stone, it will sell. Everybody, there's no food that doesn't sell in Nigeria. So you do your market and you put it there. If it's barbing, and just use it because all of us have different ideas. Just to give you a guide. Where are you locating it? In fact, this place, people move around very well. I can put it here. I know that who will enter this place to bank, that kind of thing. The technical feasibility will tell you the technical requirement. Technically, in the sense that the number of people that you need to, like, if it's, for instance, you are going to use a component of your business require a machinery. You may not be very versatile in it. Okay? Then the number, the availability of spare parts, how frequent does that thing break down? How much consumption of fuel, engine oil, and all of these things. These are technical things that nobody is born with. Obviously, you might likely hire or ask questions. These areas, transportation, for instance. You need to carry, you are bringing a mango juice, somebody is doing mango juice, or you want to do mango juice, you are going to Boko to bring. Have you considered the haulage aspect of it? Somebody wants to say it's into yam and this thing, and they say it's available in Benue, it's Benue basket or food basket. Have you know how much a truck of it costs? At the end of the day, this thing will guide you. Does it require technology that you need to go to China? And you know how much to fly to China will be? Or when you bring it to the shore or wharf, what's the import duty? My brother, what's the role of the bank? Their own charges. These are things that will really require. Then you come properly to the financial feasibility. Now, the sources you are getting it, NISA is giving you, we know that. Okay, how much is it? Because they will ask you, why did you think this amount is required? That can cancel that loan if it is overstated, if it's not required. Or otherwise, they might say, okay, we have heard you. Maybe this one to us is not necessary. You might ask for 4.5, they might give you 3 million. They have done their own, and you can't question them. But whenever it happens like that, don't be frightened. You go back again, do another. They have given you, they give you the 3. Don't be frightened. If you can't even attain that, come back, use that your clothes that they're giving you and resize it. So that you will not go and keep that money not doing anything. They can be so bossy to say, because they are trying to let the money reach so many people. I've seen people who have asked for 10, they've given them 8. I've seen people who ask for 10 million, they've given them 5. There's a reason, because they have not done some certain things. If you have put everything well enough, they may not cut it, because within that 1 to 10, you are qualified to take it. So people have gotten the 10, meaning they have done a very good work. They can't reduce the dime. So you also can do that. Then organization, how are you putting all of you, your staff, the background, whom are you asking? Somebody who doesn't even know how to do barbing. I always cite something that are practical. If you don't go and learn that barbing yourself, and this man, after making some savings, one day might not, maybe you speak to him in a language, he's giving you 10,000 maybe at the end, I don't know, or 2,000 at the end of every week. And then you come, you just something happened. You have not even waited for him to say whether he will give you the 2 million, begin to shout. The man can just go into this. He has money to start, and he's the owner of the skill. You are going to look for another person that will still give you nonsense. So how to organize yourself is very important. You don't have to quarrel with your workers. They are the greatest asset. The moment you do anything to anyone, he can sell you in another places that you are like this. Like we were discussing prior to this lecture, when somebody who was doing well, doing good things, all of a sudden did something because of emotion. He slapped somebody. And now the talk of the town now is that man. The man that dole out money here and there. So be careful how you organize yourself. These are the components and how that feasibility study will appear. You put description, market, technical, financial, organization, and then you do a conclusion. In case you have some issues about the market, what are you looking at the market when you go? target population. Look at the target. The market has segmentation. It has areas that you can focus. Don't underestimate the power of Zobo. It has its own market, like I've said. Some people are looking for it because they put ginger or they put some other thing. So you can segment your market to a particular maybe gender or location or class. Some people look at schools environment. Pupils, maybe they don't have biscuits. Those kind of things that can captivate them. Somebody might just bring a provision store somewhere because there's nobody there. You can put it there. And maybe you see that they cross the road before going to buy. Those are things about the market, which you know. Don't just close your eye to it. Market is, everybody is in it. Don't you price when you go to buy something. You are seeing them. So you know the market. Then you do the market strategy. If this one is doing like this, let me do my own this way. No, those are study, benchmark somebody while they are doing it. How do you think you can do better or improve? Those are the strategies you are bringing in. Then another thing that you need to do in the market is competitor analysis. You, of course, may not compete. I used to use that example of Coke and maybe not Zobo now, Pepsi. In the real scheme of things, for those who really like the taste of these two, somebody will tell that, despite the fact that it's the same color, the taste is not the same. Somebody who has developed taste for Coca-Cola, my brother, you give him Coke, he says, it's Coca-Cola I want. So you need to know that competition and buying patterns. Yes, if you keep doing it, you keep putting, even if they don't like you today, certainly one day somebody will like you. Like Coke, I mean the Pepsi that they don't see, like it's taking a chunk, even 7-Up. It's even enough that we're having one they call this champagne, one color like this, the shorter, but the color is red. Thank you. It's having its own market. When they came, they reduced the price. It won't remain like that forever. After some time, we don't buy go. There was one time around is this Easter or one of those festivities, I went to buy. I didn't get this. They said, oh, Ghana, this one, deal. I said, I don't want that. It's okay. I went around, I didn't say, I came back, I bought. That's market for me. So you determine that, know your strength of your business or your product. That's the SWOT now. SWOT, SWOT. S stands for strength. Everything has its own strength. It has its own weakness. Don't underestimate it. Yes, Tobo cannot compete. It has its own weakness because it's locally produced. It might not last beyond. There's one they call something Aya, Kunu Aya now. I tell you, it's selling. With that ice block, it's selling. And that one doesn't even last the second day. There are some people that look for it. You know? So you know the weakness, but then people are there. Opportunities where you think that nobody is there, you can just go there, somebody, and then state your challenges or threats. That's SWOT. It's used in economies like that so that you can put them into this and analyze them. It's good that you analyze so that you know that. On the technical aspect, we talk about location, where I mentioned it. What are the fixed assets and the equipment that you are quickly going to bring? Shooting into my time for this class. And then if you are bringing the suppliers, where are they? Where are they? And where are they located? Is it far? Is it near? What are the number of personnel? Those things come under technical. And then the raw materials, where are you getting them from? If for those particularly who want to do the value chain, if you are not the one producing the rice, are you going to set up an agro asking? Are you going to relate with some maybe cooperative who are into farming? I can buy your produce. Let's enter into an agreement. You know the quantity that they are bringing. You have already gotten your value, your machinery that want to mill to do all of that. For instance, for those who are into rice or into maize, they all have all chains that you can also do. Or soya beans, those who bring out like these people in Jos, they come around the Kaduna Benue zone to always harvest every soya bean, even to Taraba. They need it. So these are the things, the main thing that they need for making soya oil or whatever they call them. These are things that are technical that you need to do. On the financial aspect, quickly, you put it will divide it when you're analyzing the financial. There's a part I call the project cost or investment cost, which will take the amount that you are taking into the fixed asset. That is components of the equipment or anything that you want to buy as part of the machinery. Okay? Then if you require raw materials that you are buying, it's also coming under that investment because you don't have it, you need to buy. Then your workers, sometimes it's important to do maybe a 1 year. For instance, if you are into farming and you know that there's a period that the farm will bring the thing, you can, and you have already hired your workers. For the first how many months of that, you are not going to make any money. So you factor that money into your loan. I call it working capital. I've done a business plan for somebody that I did a 1 year working capital and factor it into the loan. So that when you are paying from the loan, nobody is questioning you. Yes, because the business takes some time. And that kind of business will require a moratorium, a period whereby you are yet to establish yourself, that you will not have started selling, but you need to be paying your workers, those kind of things. Any pre-operational expenses, like if you want to register your business name, NISA will require that you have a business name. If you have not thought about it, no. It might take you 25, 30, 40,000. Those are expenses that need to come under the investment cost. You categorize them and you total them. Then you go and make your sales projection for the number of years. You start from the first year, then you go to second year, go to third year, you go to fifth year. For your training, they say 3 years, but normally the standard format is to have a 5-year spread of your projection. Now, under the sales projection, you have, if you are doing a part, how many number of parts are you likely to do? What is the cost of one? What is the cost of how many you are doing? How much will it come at the end? If there are any other associated costs with the sales, you can put that one under the sales cost. Differential of that one will give you your sales or your net sales. These things it may not be the standard of the accounting. As you write it down in your small note, it's also important. Nobody is expecting you to go and bring accounting and all those jargons there. So the organization, as I said, involves how you bring everything together and the changes that is happening, that you are coping with it. You are not frustrated. Rather, you are smiling, but you are not suffering. I don't want to use the words suffering and smiling. You are enjoying it. That's a perfect organization. So that ends us quickly of the feasibility. I think I really went detail into this. And the questions we have before we go on a break, for those of you who are online, I put this question on the screen right now. And for you here, you quickly have to also answer. I think there's a way you send in your answers. The first question here says, should every business have a feasibility plan? The second one says, what's the relevance or importance of feasibility? I think that question, how would they get it? Because it's objective in the way I think. Right? Okay, maybe you have. And then from this lesson, what is the aspect that you can do? And which one do you require help? So that even after this class, you can bring such challenges up. Should every business have a feasibility plan? What is the relevance or the importance of feasibility plan or studies? From this lecture, what aspect of it can you do? And which one do you require the help of a consultant? Send in, for those of you online, send in your responses to the WhatsApp group chat. Your answers, your responses should be sent into the WhatsApp group chat that you are all been added to. And then in the next 5 minutes, we'll start the second part of this module, which is the main subject of the day. But what we have said so far, we open us easily to the course. For those online, if you have questions, you can send the question into the question and answer box so that probably I can attend to it before the end of the class, or I summarize it at the end of the class. In absence of that, I will assume everything is going on smoothly with you over there. By 10 minutes past 3, we'll go into the second aspect of this discussion, which is the business plan.
For anything we're doing to government, you get something that genuine government that can take confirm you as citizen of Nigeria. No matter how we do that thing, you will achieve it.
I'm with you, sir.
So now, let me bring the idea of the business poultry I'm talking about. 2010, I'm telling you now, when I do that business of poultry, I know the doctor, the great doctor of fowl.
Yes,
good.
Yes,
I see you truly good. And I train many other things. Animals. I will go meet these people and pay. They will give injection to this. But I can't observe one thing this year. Since 2010, this year, that ending of December to January, when cash to come out. You know, if we train fowl, like all this fowl, made local fowl, and this chicken, you know, like the main chicken that they are training now, fowl, so those ones, one day I just wake up in the morning, like this. I can't see all my fowls die. Now look how when I tell you, he reach like 3. How do you keep this thing now? I sit down, I go talk. 2 weeks, the fowl at the train that reach almost 100. 20 don't die inside. I'm not sit down, make I talk to them. I go meet people, they train me, I ask them, like, so what you did? They give this fowl. They say, no. You know, the people that don't even understand the training of this chicken. Now I go meet them. They say, I don't know, this seed cashew, all these boys, because they fly and they sell anywhere for proportion now. Anywhere they do that, any person they train fowl there, fowl with that.
You know, it has an acid that
yes, I see inside that the odor is killing But now, the damage you have from next year now, look at it. December now, look at power. And January, look at like December and January. From February, I will continue with it.
There are a lot of lessons to learn in the business. And you have actually not asked questions, you have actually brought in the mind of people who are here. Not that you have asked a question. We'll continue then. Maybe later we'll share some of those things you are talking so that our time will not go beyond our distance. I welcome you back to this second part of the discussion today, and that's business plan. The name business plan is sounding everywhere when NISA, AG, this loan business is talked about. This is the main aspect of why you are here today, or why you are here for this week. And so, having followed the aspect of the feasibility studies, this one will just go into straight discussion. And then the outline will be, as I'm going to read it for you who are here, and those who are online, you have seen it already. We have about 7 outline for the business plan. The business plan actually is like a roadmap. It's a blueprint of how you want to start. If you have already started, how you want to expand to sustainable actions that you do to the end of whatever number of years that business will be. It's a plan, it's a guide. As we are here now, you can talk of something about the 50th year of this business idea that you are not. It's a plan, it's a guide. So that by the time you begin, it will give you a guide where you are supposed to be at a certain time. Why are you not here yet? What are the reasons? So that is, as you heard the word plan, they say if you don't plan, what happens? You have already planned to fail, even when you didn't do the plan. So not doing the plan is a plan to fail. So don't tell me that you don't know how to plan. If you don't plan, you have already planned. That's the myth of what I'm saying. So nobody will come up and say, I don't know how to plan. That means you have planned to fail. Learn it. So it will define everything, the objective, the mission, the vision, how you want to go about the business, and how the business will survive. So that could be like a definition. Then the outline is given to you. I have 7 topics, 7 outline here. This outline could vary depending on, it's not cast in concrete. It can be changed in a way. It may not follow 1, 2, 3 as it appears. The first is executive summary, if you are writing. That's the first for our guide here. The first topic is executive summary, followed by the business description and mission statement. This one can stand in some places as introduction or background. They can write it. If you open some books, they can write it like introduction or background. Then you talk about the business concept, strategy, value proposition. The concept, that's the idea of the business. How do you think it can sell? How did you conceive the idea? Like you have some history about it. It was bequeathed to me by my father. That kind of thing. Father is a farmer, he started it. Now I want to go into the aspect of the value chain development. I'm looking for equipment, I'm looking for machinery that I want to bring into it. I'm trying to now, rather than a producer, I would like to become a processor. So I'm stepping things up. You go to the market summary, like you see some of those things I said earlier on is coming in here. The market, the same item, what we did as at the time we're doing that, come here properly now. Then you do your market summary and competition. Inside this, we do market research, market segmentation, target market, wherever, whatever, the number and all that. Then you also create a topic for competitive advantage, SWOT analysis, and risk, as we mentioned earlier on. So these topics are not appearing strange to any one of us again. Then here, according to the guide, we have resource planning and team. This is your manpower, talent hunting, the number of people that you require that will do the work. Then the final topic here is financial projection. Financial projection that will tell you the breakdown of your investment costs, your sale analysis, your profit after the first year, your profit in the second year, third year, and other analysis. If you have the capacity to do your balance sheet, you can also do, but it's not required for this training. We're only going to talk more of cash flows so that you know that what comes in, what goes out, essentially are what you should hold. Don't bother yourself so much about. If you have to talk about a balance sheet, they might be talking about some of the assets that you don't even know is important. And that they put a cost on all of that, summarize it, and then they just do a balance sheet for you, which is a snapshot of your business per day or per that time that thing is done. So the first aspect of the business plan, which is chapter 1, is executive summary. But as it said, the first chapter, usually it is the last to be written. You put it as the executive summary, but it's the last to be written. And as you heard, summary, it's supposed to give you a summary of everything most essential about what you have written. Most times, the nicer executives don't have the time to read all the business plans. They don't even have the time to open all business plans. If they have the time to do, where their attention is coming is here. So I always guide and emphasize that it must be written very well. If not any other aspect of the plan, make sure here takes the salient, important features or points of your plan. I'm into this. It's supposed to be a one page. Professionally, if it exceeds 1.5, it's not a good one. As much as a business plan like this for somebody was 30-something pages, my summary executive plan was 1 page. That's the power of summary. You are bringing in all the points, all the important facts of your business. How it came, it's just one line, blah, blah, and you are stating. You can even bring in a table that will tell you the profit of 5 years. It can be in that place. They would know how that how is it going to sell? How am I? You don't need to bring over elevator pitch. What are you pitching? You are pitching the, what will I say now? The most important aspect of that is what we are saying here. That will captivate. That will not be, nobody can do without. So you come with some kind of presentation that will hit the person that, yes, go to the facts, go to the facts of the matter, don't beat about the bush. That will captivate the reader. That's all the thing I can say about executive. It is executive summary for every one of you. What you are doing is different, so nobody will state it. You can't copy it. Please, you can't copy another person's own. All right? The business description and mission statement will tell you the background of all what you are doing. I started this business in 1991. I didn't have enough capital, but I was doing it in a small scale. And over time, my passion for this business keep pushing me all the time. Or I came out of the university, there was no job, and I developed this appetite for this. I'm skillful, I have this skill to do this. This is a background that somebody wants to say, why not? So you are telling them Yeah, this thing drives me every day. I'm so passionate about it. I'm going somewhere. I know I can go somewhere with it. I have this market. I have this. These people are lacking. This product is not available here. I'm trying to create one. So all this kind of thing tells you the background, how you started. It is a family business. My father has been into it. He carried us as I was growing up along the line. Since he's tired now, he's no longer agile enough. I want to improve on it. And then if I get a loan, I will do this kind of thing, expand it by this, and all of that. This is a startup business that I think can sell because I know I have this, I have this. I'm trained enough, I have the capacity to do this. These are ideas. So you create a vision, you create a mission that is catchy. Everybody knows that as you walk into this place, this is an audit firm. It's different from, there are several other audit firms. So he's selling himself, and today we are an EDI. He didn't start like that. They would have seen some things that he's doing. He got himself trained as a chartered accountant and all of that, and he has had the expertise. He has a consultant, he has a faculty. Some of us like this that are joining him. That is how the business can. The business can be anyhow. It can be anything. He mentioned about cashew just now. Shelling it, maybe buy an equipment that can shield all those aspects that is becoming a threat or a challenge to environment pollution. And all of these things can. I think I priced that cashew glucosate bottle, the last was 1,700. And we have the beds, the middle bed. You go to Kogina, I am bad to that, all those areas. You can be amazed. What about palm tree plantation? There are some species now that are growing not even higher than this, and they made a lot of very juicy component parts that if you can plant about how many years they begin to do, and you can do fractional distillation machinery and setup, and be doing not going to be climbing and be pounding it with your leg. They'll squeeze out your oil for you and you sell. Oil can be inside drum for years, it doesn't spoil. I'm telling you bits about the business already. So you bring your own things, how you can drive and how the company, that business can grow. The strategies, quality of that produce, quality, the efficiency, and the speed. Those are your value propositions. There are some unique things about each business. The selling points, USP, unique selling proposition. Every product has it. Every business has it. You are skillful enough, you have the style to vibe unisex, all of that. Everything, think about it and bring. You are the one bringing it now. You are the one bringing your company out. You know, you have to register it. You have to begin to bring all these things. So that somebody, when he's studying it, is having an idea in your head. So you summarize all the key points about that, and you put it as your business concept. As I said, I'm going through the topic one by one, even though I might emphasize later on, just to bring it out. Then I go to market. Market, yes, summarize your market. Summarize your market in the past for those who are already into the business. But if you are a startup, you summarize the business as of today. You make a summary of it today. What is it? Before you delve or you dive into it. What does the future look like of the business? Does it have the capacity to withstand, to be there as long as maybe up to 5 years? Maybe for the reason that the loan has a gestation, a period of 5 years, must have ability that the capacity is there, so that your concern first is to pay back the loan. Your concern when we talk about cash flow, the bank lends against cash flow. They don't lend against collateral. A business that is very juicy, that generates enough cash flow, bank can lend. They may not bother about anything security because they know that this business, they also believe in it. And when the business is coming, you don't be carried away by buying cars, by marrying 2 wives. Be committed to your amortization. I will always guide people, I advise people, make your amortization. The number of years that you have, if it's 5 years now, each year. Learn what you are going to pay back. Be making it down. When you get it, even if it's complete before the time, go and pay it back. They won't stress you, you won't bother yourself. By the time the loan is paid off, you would have known that you are broken even. You are no longer indebted. You see what you have again. You have all the assets. You have some things liquid. You have not sold some things. You have produce. That means you are already big enough to start on your own. Nobody is coming to knock on your door. You have not paid one part of this. So your commitment is knowing that this market I'm starting has a market can be there for as much as. For those of you who are into food, and you are guaranteed everybody will eat. How you improve on that produce that you are bringing to the market is your unique selling point that somebody will buy. I went to the market the other day, people put beans everywhere, but there was one particular one that doesn't have wheat. How did he get it there? He did not put chemical, but he said, or he did not put, which one they spray that they call, there's one that they spray that people, they spray against mosquito too. He didn't use that one, but people were rushing to buy. It is when they have bought his own that they will begin to, okay, I didn't find any other one, let me manage your own. If they use your own for moi, you may not be able to eat it like beans. You understand? So they will even underprice it. But when they have the one that is single, fine, this like this iron beans, they will not allow it to stay. They will buy it quickly. People need it. So the markets and how you present your this thing, how you preserve them against weevil, against pests, against other unwanted things is very important. So you maintain your share of the market. Competitive advantage is somebody going to war. You are going to war really. No war that you are carrying gun like anything though. You might be surprised that before you land, some other people have brought. No market day is always the same. Prepare for competition, prepare for what you never thought of. Nobody is going to, you are going to war. Prepare your mind. Have a mindset that I'm going to meet other people and let my own also sell. So you do your competitor analysis and then plan it well so that you don't come intimidated. Everybody has a particular edge over another. If you don't do well, your own will be until when the other one is sold before they look at your side. Always maintain that agility to be number one. Do your SWOT analysis. Under that chapter 5, their competitive, do it so that you know them very well. Don't, if you have weaknesses, do it. Is that your plan? Don't go and cover it because they can identify it for you if you don't. And that's a down point for you. If somebody else tells you your weakness. Okay, your threat, yes, I'm a startup, I'm a new person. You can analyze that one. Yes, but with time, you will definitely grow. It's not that mentioning it means you cannot move. A child today becomes an adult tomorrow. The opportunities is that place, they are not enough. Each time, the products that they bring or queues are there all the time. So bringing my own with, instead of them queuing up, I provided an alternative. So it's an opportunity for your business to sell. So you identify all these things before you go on. And then the resource planning also come into play, but I mentioned risk. Risk is every part of life. What is risk? Is that aspect that something can go wrong. A factor that something can come up unprepared is risk. And so when you identify it, you project or you provide risk booster, what you can hold on to when that kind of thing happens. How you can mitigate it from going further. So that one will be has to be addressed. Resource planning is like somebody who wants to start a job. You need to know the number of things you require, number of equipment you require, number of personnel that you require. How are you going to go about it? All of these things require resources. So every resource you need to plan it. If you are looking for an equipment, how much tonnage, how much capacity are you going to, is that so that you also put your money where? This resource planning will help you. For those of you who might use machinery, always let your costs of machinery be higher than any money. I always advise 70-30 or at worst 60-40. 60 or 70 goes to your equipment. So I have little money to play with. Maybe the little money you have will be on a fixed deposit for you to pay your workers at good time. I'm just letting a cat or giving you a secret. Having been there, that NASA will prefer somebody who puts more of this loan into machinery that is going to be functional, that will produce. The machinery cannot run away. It's also a way of putting your money that your money will not fly. If eventuality happens and they fall on you, these are the machinery now. Somebody else can buy it. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing. But it helps you so that you don't, when you have so much money on your hand and you didn't plan well, the tendency is that something will just take 10 naira today. You sort of think it's a joke tomorrow. But when there are no physical cash, nobody will come and family will press you. You are already a big person. Somebody died in the family and your business is not pleasure and it's not family. You want. So you do your resource planning, promotion, and all that. Then your team, what are if you are into something like this, what do you call it? This business, what do they call those offices that have a laptop, a photocopy, business center? And you might want to put a cyber cafe and all the internet. And you don't have some skills. You might, if you don't go through a training, you need somebody who is skillful in that. Because if it's not there and you cannot operate it, somebody comes to say, I want to send a mail, you have lost 200 naira or 700 naira. Those people come to do uploading of details of employment. Jam, my brother, they are making money. They are making money. They tell you that my internet space, my data, and to upload it, maybe in color or whatever, they are paying me 700 naira for just how many minutes? But you must be skillful or you go and hire somebody. So you learn about what's their pedigree, what's their background, so that they will not come and subjugate or kill your business if you don't have the skill. And I will advise, if you don't have it, probably build it around your own person or a friend, so that they will not hook you in the jugular or abandon you in the midstream. And then the financial projection. What do you require in all of this? Everything comes, that's the final chapter. Every of the things you have said from the beginning comes here, you are putting them all on paper. And then you are making a projection. At the end of the year, at the end of the month, you are starting a first day. At the end of a particular period, you must have something on ground. You start from the first month because you are going to pay salary. You are paying monthly salary. You are not paying in arrears. You are not paying in accumulation. So you need to project what should be at the end of that month. And that comes from everything about selling that product, selling that service. How much are you paying per time, per hour, per unit? All of these things, by the time you add them up, you project it, you see it becomes a figure. Except you are doing a discount. Even if you are doing a discount of it, at the end, it becomes that. And at the end, what happens? You have a cost of your salary, you have a cost of diesel, you have a cost of haulage, you have a cost of working materials, raw materials. All of those things, you take them off from everything that came in, and you have a net. It shouldn't be a loss. Nobody will predict that. Nobody will predict or project loss. No, except you have not done well. Except you are overstating your costs than what you are coming. And that doesn't, nobody will listen to that. You can't tell them, you can't show that one to NISA. So that's the the topic, I mean the content comes like I said, it doesn't have to come like casting concrete. The way you can organize yourself, you might put your operational plan above your marketing. It doesn't have to be. But make sure that all this content form part of your own too. You don't throw anything like you want to describe a product and service. If he's into poultry, you discuss that. He's producing poultry, maybe for what do you call it, for a frozen house and all that. There's an hotel that takes this. You describe it, and they're always there to take at the cost maybe 1.5, not 1.7. Okay, in the market, that kind of thing. Okay, so you put all that in perspective, and then at the end, you have a feeling that an income is coming in. So for the reason of discussing some details of what you are going to do for your record, NISA has made this outline for us to talk a bit about the cash flow forecast. So I'll spend the most of the remaining time on this. The cash flow is the record of your money. Cash inflow is the record of your money, your sales, and everything related to that product or service. When it comes in, you take note of it and record it. You must have a cash book where you record all this, the inflow and the outflow. Even if you take a data or you take a call unit of 400 naira, you don't overlook it. Because when you don't take note of it immediately, you may not remember. And at the end of the day, you don't know the actual cost in a month. You have understated it and you have overstated your profits by doing so. Every record, if you can't do it, you put somebody there. That will be your small accountant. You record it. If you are taking it, give me. It's always very. Please, can I have 10,000 naira? And if they record it, it now push you to remember it. Sometimes when you don't record it, you say, okay, it's gone. And then at the end, you are not disclosing everything to NISA. And you are undoing yourself. They will not know the details of that. So it is important that we explain this to you, being trained now, that you have a cash book where you record in your money that is coming in. Create a line, money that I sell today, put it there. Even if there are a lot of cash book in the market, go and buy one. There are some that are long, there are some that are thick. Make sure you have. Why do you do this? To show investors that you are profitable, not that you are making losses. Because when you record them, they will see the level of your profitability. You are also identifying areas where the company will improve upon. Maybe you are spending so much here, or you can identify that while the cost is going here, there's a challenge here. That I will identify that for you. And also at the end, it will show your investors whom you want to invite, probably, or those you want to put money into the business, that you are very efficient. Nobody would like to be part of somebody who is not who is like a flippant. He takes money at will, and probably has, unfortunately, a behavioral problem. Some of them are into maybe drinking some things. You see, you only know yourself well when money begins to come in. And I used to warn people that I train. As a business person, don't join business with pleasure. If you have to take a Coke or you want to go and drink something like that, let it be from your own. You pay yourself also. At the end of the month, you pay yourself. Most of us, why NISA intervention is very key, is that there's no job out there. Stimulating business ideas with this kind of money that you're getting is reducing the wahala in the society, the ease. So many people walking about, not doing anything. So by you doing this one, you put your head down that let it prosper me. You will even be surprised as to where this business can take you to. And when we profile people like Dangote, Bua, and all of those who are there, they started little too. They didn't just burn them with it. And you also can also grow. Somebody can even decide to put money, but he must be accountable. That's why you do record of your business. The cash flow, the projection must be tied to valid and logical assumptions. Nobody will kill you because, yes, you are going to make some assumption. You have to, like, I can sell these fowls at 1.5. It's reasonable. But when you say I can sell it at 2,000, then ask you how many weeks. Question come, how many weeks? Okay, I'm coming. He may not come back. When he goes to make another inquiry at the other person, I'm selling my own 1.8. How many weeks? The same week. And that one is, he won't come back. These losses of time, opportunities, you can't regain it. It's either blackmail or give you a black image in the market there. Be friendly, come, sir. I just, well, how much can you? If it's reasonable that he's buying many, even if he's buying one and you think you have made some markup, sell it. You want to really sell and bring in more. So make your projection logically with realistic assumptions. Let it be consistent all through. Don't change one here, and then when you want to do another market, you change it. They will find out that it's not the assumption you make here that your equipment can make 20 kg within about how many hours. How come you are bringing this? It doesn't tie with what you said here. If there's still that kind of inconsistencies, it's a problem. The cash flow that you are projecting is going to be based on such assumptions that you're making. That's another underscore of cash flow for you. Then be thorough, be open, don't hide anything. Be thorough with your projected cost. Let every cost be known. Don't go and hide anyone, and then at the end when they say, how come this thing is so? Then you say, okay, I didn't remember to put this. No, now. Let everything sum up. I normally do my own investment cost and table it. If I forget and something come up, I create another one, I put it back. So that you're not taking any money to another thing. In economics, they tell you that there are a lot of things that money should do. But because it's not available, you have to do a preference or a scale. That is what guides you. Because at that time, some other thing will say, do this, do this. Because you have written it before, you go back to that. Honor that your list. And that's how you go on. So income is any money that comes into your business by reason of definition. How does it come? When you sell your product, when you sell your service, money that you receive that comes is an income. When you decide to sell any of your parts, any equipment that you no longer need, maybe by reason of improvement or obsolete equipment that somebody might need for his own, when you sell, that money that comes is also an income. So all form part of the income cash inflow. Money that you receive when they leave you the loan is a loan, it's an income also. It all depends on how you are going to put them. You have lines. This one is sales, this one is sales of equipment, this one is loan. And then you sum the total. At the total end, you have the total income, total money received from the business. Expenditure, by definition still, according to the guide that we have here, any money that you spend in the course of doing that product or service. Offering your service requires you to make expenses. I made a phone call, I made a data purchase, I transported Uber or Bolt, Taxify, I took a higher taxi, all of that. I bought diesel for the generator, I paid my workers. You list them as they come, aggregate them, and total it. That is your expenditure. Where are we going? If you make purchases, raw materials, also that's an expenditure. Any classification you can bring, it doesn't need to be anything I've listed. You have a total. I've gotten a total shown on the screen, which you can use if you are very good in Excel. If you don't know how to do Excel, don't bother. It's not compulsory. You can do your table, put your table like this, and carry a calculator. I have one that I would have shown you. It's far. Most of our phones have adding and plus, minus. When you list it like that, you have a total income. Then create, if it's day or month on this side, at the end of the month, maybe that month is total. At the end of the February, you have to, for every month of the year, you have a spread. Draw your table like that. If your book, if the book you have is too small, go to a longer one. 2,000 naira, 1.5, you can buy a good one. Start small. When you become bold enough, you can go bigger. If you can't have those ones, open the middle of your exercise book and make sure you rule it. Have January, February, March, April, May. This I'm doing it in the practical term. That's what is required, so that you are guided. Then you know that you have weeks. From weeks, I mean you have days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you have the end of the weekend. Another week comes. It goes into weeks. From weeks, you have months. From months, you have years. These things, you start with days, you have week, you have month. At the end of the day, you come to an aggregate. So you begin to have a layout now, so that you'll be able to state your income or your net income. That's where I'm going. For those of you seeing the screen, you are seeing an income heading, money that came as through the sale of goods and services, the money received from NISA as a loan, and then the total income is summarized. Then the layout for the expenditure, I purchases of raw materials, I paid wages, I submit for that same month of January, total expenditure is given. At the end of the segment, you have a total. Then I've come in figures, for example, the sales of 600, I got a loan of 1,000, total income become 1,000 plus 600, that's 1,600. For purchases of raw materials, I spent 800 and I paid wages of 400. I have a total of 1,200. Okay, so you have an income of 1,600, you have a total expense. For a layman, you have a profit already. So what are we saying in the whole layer is to have the calculations made where the business need to see if something happened, greater something has happened or a greater inflow than inflow came in, whether you are going to make a loss or not. It's all this you're recording that at the end will show. If you don't record it, you will not even know whether you are making under profit or you are making under loss. We are trying to develop or get to a point where we have a closing balance, whereby when we net off our expenditure from our sales, we have a net income. For those watching, see the screen, you have, if you are using Excel, yes, Excel usually have formula that are embedded in it. But if you don't have, using your calculator, you can punch it and you see that you have a net of 400 based on that example that we cited. When you have that closing of 700, going to the next month of February, that becomes what? Your opening balance. It's just you don't throw it away, you carry it further because you are building on your history. Accounting in Nigeria is on historical records. On the past, you build on it. That's why we always give a statement. We have give account, we have audit. It goes to the historical record that you have. So you put that one. Next year, when you want to recount, you check. Oh, comparing the February with another February of another year, you will see the differences. That's how they do analysis of accounts. For you, it's just a layman thing that we're explaining. You have your calculator, you can do that. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. But if you quickly may have a reason to ask one or two questions, because I say it's a guide, I presented a guide, which will suit almost all business ideas that you can now go and develop. And for reason of NISA, I think the structure of the business plan is very simple. Most is simpler than even the presentation I have made. So there's no reason. So you have, at an advantage point, have much knowledge, much information, guiding you into on Friday or so, where you'll be guided or you'll be asked to do what's your business plan all about. The structure will be shown to you where you put down what you want to do in figures or information as required. I welcome questions and where you have gray areas in the next how many minutes that we have before we say good night. Thank you very much for having me. For those of you online, you can send in, because there's a quiz or a test that we are going to use. You are sending in your responses to the WhatsApp group that you have been added. You are not sending it here. You are sending it out because we are going to shut down shortly. If you have questions where things need to be explained, let me know. Amina, you are hearing me, and the Edwards. Speaking of them, have gone. They have about 9 before. If you have questions, let me know. And this thing also, you can review it later in the night because this record is available. The administrator will post it for you to listen to my explanation again in some of these areas so that you are not lost. And then you can also ask the office where we can help you in any area between now and Friday or even after Friday. I'm not seeing any question from those who are online. But for those of you who are here, can you ask your question?
You can make for people that for this program for loan that you
Why didn't give everybody?
yes, what's the main important thing that you can give out that you know collect it? Or what make you not be collected?
It's difficult to explain, but there's we are actually a facilitator. We are not the final decider. We may not really know the mind, but if you don't make your business plan articulate enough, if the business plan, because this is actually a takeaway from this training. You might be trained on marketing. You have been trained on what do you have yesterday is entrepreneurship. That's teaching you how to manage your business, right? That one is also a takeaway. But what they will hold on to the product that you are uploading online, where I think most of us might expose our errors. I used to be, I said, it's a business plan. Your investment cost, your total cost, did it come up where? No. Did you do a good market survey? Did you have a good grasp of the market where you are taking that product? Have you done a bit of competition? Are you sure that somebody will not overshadow you? Some of these things that can be risk, even to NISA, they can see it. It's not only this, you're also going to go through an interface of an interview. If what you are saying is not in consonance with your business plan, somebody might think among the panel over there, overnight, have your ideas changed? So be careful that you are in tandem with what you are saying, that you are presenting. Except you are telling the NISA that you have changed your business plan. If you state an amount higher than what you have stated here before, then you have exposed yourself. They may not give you a chance again to explain all that because there are numerous people there. So if you have the opportunity, I usually call it a privilege. It's a Nigerian issue where how many population and you are called upon, take it like your whole life depends on it. And I think it's an opportunity really, because at 7% or even if it's 9% total cost of this, anybody who got 4 million and at that percent and still cannot do something with this, then I think something is wrong. I have been in the banking industry where I served 18, 17 years under commercial lending. People take loan and I see the challenge where the cost of 34%, 32%, 25%. not minding the COT again that is coming to that loan that their bank is benefiting again. No commercial bank loan, let me tell you frankly, is favorable to any business interest. But they can't do without taking it. So bank, CBN, NICE are coming to give us a single digit. Everybody should embrace it.
I went to that part of the industry like 3 years.
Okay.
Looking makes it the no give me one is because of an not corporate.
They register the business.
That's the main thing that makes it not okay for it.
They are given, even SMEDA, even Bank of Agriculture. There are so many outside this that are still favorable that gives loan. There are some that even give loans for those who are into export. If you have idea, I don't want to limit this discussion to narrow it down. Some of you might have export ideas like growing ginger and all of those stuff, exporting it. Some people are planning to export yam.
Want come to apply for all these
former honorable minister out of it. And I don't know how many people might be inside it. So, and you can go to next. They are actually there for exports financing. So anything you can do, don't limit yourself. But this is it's a privilege and it's an opportunity that I want you guys to grab with both hands. And if you put your head down very well, you can get it. People have gotten it. It's not I had it. No, it's real. I would have shown you my certificate here of training. And that's the evidence they will give you here. It qualifies. They'll ask you, have you been trained? Here's my certificate, sir. And they will listen to you. NASA cannot handle the deluge of people who are agitating here and there. So they ask them to go through training centers, EDIs. And you are here now. So the moment you are trained, be bold enough to go there. Prepare yourself. The office, when you are going to, I don't know, I think there are some changes going on now for the interview interface, which is, like I'm hearing that it's going to be handled by the EDIs also. We are waiting on NASA to put all those structures on ground. So it's not going to be intimidating. You are friendly with the environment, why not? So I wish you all well. I'm sure there's no question, so I'm trying to shut that now. Our time is spent, and some people might be going somewhere. So in absence of that, I wish you well and see you again in the course of your loan disbursement. God bless you all.